Hello, creative souls. So I got big into creating fairy gardens and fairy houses, and I was kind of struggling to find some furniture, so I decided to make my own. Fortunately, I am a collector hoarder, and I have tons of different pieces of wood and leftovers. So I did just assemble small little hutches in this case. I want to show you how easy it is. So even though this video is pretty long and I did speed it up a little, but it is quite long. I hope you can. I hope I can just be quiet at some point and you can enjoy my creation and some music. However, I would like to tell you some basics first. So first of all, make sure that whatever furniture you make will fit in the house, meaning the height of it, right? Um, and then I play with any kind of pieces of wood that I had, little trims and leftovers. Thinner the board, the better, I think. And I try to basically recreate furniture like we will have at home. So this is supposed to resemble a hutch. By the way, you don't have to be too careful because once you kind of paint everything and add the final touches, and the moss, everything will disappear. Everything, not disappear, sorry, it will be there, but you will not be able to see it. So don't worry about details, okay? If it will drive you crazy, go for it. But I decided to just dive right into it. So once I assembled those hatches, I painted some. I had fun with different colors. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect, right? Because you will glue tons of different things to it. And then I put my workbench outside. I do like working with a glue gun because it dries super fast. However, there are some pieces that may not get attached properly, so I will go over after and I will use E6000, the transparent type. It's the best glue ever. So I think you have a pretty good idea what I'm using. It is fun hunt to go to thrift stores and yard sales and look for little pieces. I always think anything natural, anything small, anything that can be disassembled. I am not too crazy about plastic because it does give it the unnatural look. I basically think that if a fairy was walking through the forest and she found little pieces of whatever junk somewhere, she called it a treasure and brought it back home. So I think you can see from the left top, I have a little flowers, I have some leaves, then next to it I have beach pebbles, glass pebbles, then I have some little flowers, and underneath I have stones, flat stones, different beads and shells. Then I have some eggs, which by the way I made some from polymer clay, super easy, and a little moss and lichen. Then I also have some little animals like frogs. Next to it in the round bowl I have glass marbles. They are fantastic, and different glass pebbles. And in the box you can see, I think they're actually polymer clay beads. Then I have little tiles, little polymer mushrooms, glass bottles filled with sand. Those are fun. And then piece of belt, little buckles, stars from some Christmas stuff. And anyhow, I'm just having fun and assembling. I do think, I don't know, I was thinking about just doing one hutch at a time so you can see the whole assembly, but I think this gives you kind of more ideas what can be used. The little tiles are pretty clever actually, they work well. I also made few kind of jars and bottles from polymer clay and they will look, I think, good. And by the way, it started raining, so I had to evacuate to the garage. So it's kind of dark, but I'm still working on it. Um, it was really lovely evening, and I didn't even spend much time on it because once you have all the supplies ready, it's easy to assemble it. Always make sure you have good extension cord and you have extra glue sticks because it's surprising how many you can go through. And everything else kind of handy. I do sometimes run away from my project to grab something, but it is always easier to have everything set up. So I hope you can kind of follow me what I'm doing there, and I hope you get some ideas. Beads are fantastic, by the way. They can be used for many things, as little decoration or edges for pictures, mirrors. They can also be actually used as a feet of the table or dressers. Um, I do love those glass bottles, and I am hoping to find stash of more of them because I think they add a lot. Um, my other thing that I didn't mention is the moss on the left side. You can see moss. So it's natural moss that was submerged in warm water and glycerin overnight and then dried, and that kind of gives it the more like pliable look, and it's not as fragile, and it is preserved, so it will not just dry out. It will stay kind of, I like to say, juicy. I also made lots of little mushrooms from polymer clay. If you are looking for beginner project, the polymer clay mushrooms are fantastic and easy to do. All right, I will speed up the next part a little. I think you have the idea how to assemble those pieces. The most important part is to have the stash and then use your imagination. By the way, if you're not brave enough to glue it all down right away, you can lay it down and then glue it. It sometimes helps if you have two pieces, so you kind of put it on one and glue on the other one. But I leave that up to you. Just have fun, and remember, the fairies that will live in your fairy house don't really care, and anything can be added always. The other trick, as you will see in the next part of the video, is that on the end I am adding lichen and moss to the pieces. So if there are any little faults or if you see too much of the glue, I will cover it up, so you really don't have to worry about it. Sorry about my head. Okay, so I'll let you enjoy this. Okay, and this is the most exciting part. This is what I love to do. This is preserved moss. It comes kind of in clump up parts, but you can pull it apart and you can just use little tiny pieces of it and basically embellish anything that doesn't run away from you. So these hutches and any furniture, it's always nice to add little tiny bit of moss to it. I do have to admit that when you have the whole fairy house on dollhouse, it kind of adds a little bit of mess. If you if it gets dusty, it's hard to wash it. But you can always kind of you know brush it off a little bit, possibly in even vacuum. And if it gets messed up, you can always add new moss. So if I don't put my head in the picture, you may be able to see what I'm doing. The other somewhat important part is to use some kind of poking device because the hot glue is truly hot. You don't want to burn your fingers. So I'm just having fun with this moss and adding more and more, and I just let you watch it. It's pretty easy and super satisfying. By the way, I will also add the moss to each of the room and the dollhouse itself, right? So it's not just on the furniture. Um, Not bad, right? I love the look. I love how it's coming out. One another detail is I do like work with the glue gun. I do work outside. I do make sure I have good ventilation and plenty of extra sticks. However, there is a certain way or move, rather, like you saw me right now, I kind of wipe off the end so I don't end up with the little glue gun strings. However, if you do have any glue gun strings, they are not as bad on this project because they do resemble spider webs. Or at least I have such a good imagination that I think of it as advantage. And ta-da, that's another one, right? So you can see it's not all that much to it, and you can really use whatever you have. I also support very much recycling, and if you see in the thrift store or yard sale dollhouses or dollhouse furniture, you can grab that and you can embellish it. That's probably the easiest way to make your own furniture or recycle furniture. But I do think there is really some pride in doing it all by yourself from scratch. And as I said, I actually really had great time using leftovers and thinking how to use them. It's really fun. All right, I think I'm almost done. I'll let you watch these. Oh, I want to mention one more thing that I like to add to the furniture. First of all, artificial flowers are fantastic. Anything that resembles woodsy flowers, like ferns, they're awesome. Also, kind of evergreen branches, or even just like any wooden branch can be added to the side. It can even look like tree. Bark is great too, like moss. And I like little animals, insects. I am using plastic ones because I had them, but anything else will do. You can have fun with it. You can add little hedgehogs, mice, and even cats, whatever animals you find. I really want to encourage you to keep your eyes open for any items that can be added. If you are not 100% sure about the item you added, you can not glue it and just wait and eventually perhaps glue it or not glue it at all. That's a very scientific sentence. Yes, I realize that. Anyhow, have fun and try to find all sorts of little things that will make you happy and will look great in your fairy house or fairy garden. And ta-da! This is the final product. As you can see, it's pretty cute. And they are fantastic addition. By the way, they are just one little part of the dollhouse, so don't get too kind of into detail and criticizing yourself and trying to figure out the best way, because it is really just one little part of the whole fairy house. Yes, you want to do a good job and you want to be proud of yourself and you want to make it cute. By the way, the lizard is pretty nice. I found a few little frogs and flies and butterflies, and it comes out nicely. I like it. Now you saw the mistake, right? So this big piece of glass fell off. That's what I was talking about. The glue gun is not always 100% reliable, but nothing I can fix. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I am going to work on more different pieces of furniture and dollhouses. And if you like my ideas, you can join me on Instagram or on Facebook. Thank you for watching. Hannah Made.